When the grid goes dark, life changes in an instant. One moment you're heating leftovers in the microwave, the next you're staring at a dead screen while the silence feels heavier than the night itself. Across America, experts warn that widespread blackouts, price hikes, and supply chain breakdowns are no longer distant possibilities. They're looming realities. For retirees living on fixed incomes, large families stretching every dollar at Walmart, Aldi, Sam's, or Costco, and young adults trying to survive economic chaos, the question isn't if disruptions will hit, it's whether you'll be ready when they do. And here's the truth. Survival isn't about stockpiling the most expensive gadgets or building a fortress in your backyard. It's about practical skills, simple, timeless abilities that keep you alive when systems fail. In today's video, we'll walk through 15 essential survival skills that can turn fear into confidence. These aren't just tricks, they're lifelines. Master them now and you'll stand strong when the lights go out for good. 1. Purifying water in any condition. The human body can't survive more than 3 days without water, which makes purification one of the most critical survival skills after a blackout. When taps run dry and bottled water disappears from store shelves, the challenge isn't finding liquid, it's making sure it's safe to drink. Clear water isn't always clean, and one bad sip could mean days of sickness when medical help is hours away. The simplest method is boiling. If you can bring water to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute, most harmful organisms are destroyed. But when firewood or fuel is scarce, you need alternatives. A makeshift filter of sand, charcoal, and cloth can remove debris, while the sun itself can act as a purifier if you fill a clear bottle and leave it under direct UV rays for 6 hours. Even storm runoff and muddy puddles can become safe if you know what you're doing. The real advantage here is freedom. Stored water runs out, purification skills never expire. With this ability, every stream, wind, or rainstorm becomes a potential lifeline, giving you strength to move, adapt, and survive when others are trapped by thirst. But clean water alone won't keep you alive if injury strikes. So next, let's talk about improvised first aid. 2. Improvised first aid. When hospitals are overwhelmed and ambulances delayed, the first responder may be you. In a blackout, even minor injuries can turn life-threatening if ignored. That's why improvising first aid with whatever you have on hand is a survival game changer. Start with wounds. No antiseptic. Boil water, let it cool, and use it to flush out dirt and bacteria. No sterile gauze. Tear a clean cotton shirt into strips and press firmly to control bleeding. The goal is simple: stop the blood loss and prevent infection. For sprains or broken bones, sticks, rolled magazines, or sturdy cardboard can serve as splints when tied with scarves or belts. Burns are common when cooking over open flames. Cool the area with clean water, never ice. For 10 minutes, then cover lightly with a cloth to protect the skin. Beyond technique, the most important element is calmness. Panic spreads faster than pain. A steady voice and confident actions can stabilize a situation long enough for real help to arrive, or for you to move the injured person to safety. Improvised first aid doesn't turn you into a doctor, but it gives you something priceless: the ability to keep someone alive until tomorrow. Once injuries are under control, the next priority is finding or building shelter to protect against the elements. 3. Emergency shelter building. After water and first aid, shelter becomes your next line of defense. Exposure to the elements, whether blistering heat, freezing cold, or relentless rain, can kill faster than hunger or thirst. That's why the ability to create a safe haven, even with limited supplies, is essential when the grid goes down. The first rule of shelter building is location. Choose high, dry ground away from flood zones or unstable trees. Natural formations like caves, rock ledges, or dense thickets can save time and effort. If nature doesn't provide, you can improvise. A simple lean-to made from branches and covered with foliage, tarp, or even trash bags can block wind and rain. An A-frame or debris hut adds better insulation and stability if you have more time. Insulation is key. The ground drains body heat quickly, so lay down layers of leaves, pine needles, or extra clothing before resting. In cold climates, snow shelters like Quincy huts can trap warmth surprisingly well. A good shelter doesn't just shield you from weather, it provides psychological security. Having a place to retreat, rest, and plan makes you stronger for whatever comes next. Of course, even the best shelter is useless without warmth, so the next skill you need is fire starting without matches. Brim. Fire starting without matches. Arm is more than light and heat. It's life itself during a prolonged blackout. Without it, there's no way to stay warm in freezing nights, cook food safely, or purify water when filters fail. The problem is that matches get wet and lighters run out of fuel. What you need is the knowledge to create fire from nothing. There are multiple methods, each useful in different conditions. Friction-based techniques like bow drills can ignite dry tinder with persistence and patience. Sparks from flint and steel, or even from a simple pocket knife against certain rocks, can set dry fibers aflame. In daylight, a magnifying glass, or even a clear plastic bottle filled with water, can focus sunlight into a powerful ignition source. In emergencies, steel wool and a small battery can create fire instantly. The principle is always the same. Combine heat, fuel, and oxygen in balance. Once you have a flame, it becomes your shield against cold, predators, and fear. A steady fire boosts morale as much as it sustains the body. But once the flames are lit, the question becomes, how do you actually cook and keep everyone fed without electricity? 5. Cooking off-grid. When the power is gone and refrigerators turn into useless boxes, the ability to cook without electricity quickly separates the prepared from the desperate. Cooking off-grid isn't about gourmet meals. It's about keeping your family nourished, safe, and warm with limited resources. Start with simple heat sources. A propane camping stove, a small rocket stove, or a wood-burning setup can all keep food on the table. But you must practice before the outage, so you know how long fuel lasts and how to regulate heat. Even an open fire pit or charcoal grill can work, as long as you manage ventilation and safety. Shelf-stable foods are the cornerstone here. Rice, beans, canned vegetables, pasta, and dehydrated meals require minimal fuel yet provide maximum calories. Cast iron pans, enamel pots, or steel cookware are perfect because they withstand unpredictable flames and clean easily when water is scarce. And don't overlook baking. A Dutch oven, solar cooker, or improvised earth oven can turn flour into flatbreads or biscuits. Comfort food that lifts spirits in chaos. Still, food and fire won't help much if you can't find your way, so the next vital skill is navigating without GPS. 6. Navigating without GPS. In normal life, a dead phone battery is an inconvenience. In a blackout, it can be life-threatening if you've never learned to navigate without GPS. Streets you thought you knew suddenly look unfamiliar, and panic sets in when you can't find your way to safety, supplies, or loved ones. The foundation is situational awareness. Learn to map your surroundings mentally. Where is north? Where's the nearest water source? What routes avoid congested or dangerous areas? A paper map may seem old-fashioned, but it never runs out of power. Pair it with a simple compass, and you've got a reliable guide through uncertainty. Natural navigation adds another layer. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. At night, the North Star provides direction in the northern hemisphere. Even the way moss grows on trees or water flows downhill can help orient you. Mastering these skills means freedom. While others wander blindly, you'll move with confidence, conserving energy and avoiding hazards. Navigation isn't just about reaching a destination, it's about survival strategy. And once you know where you're going, the next step is making sure the tools you carry can be maintained and repaired when there's no store to replace them. 7. Repairing and maintaining essential tools. In a long blackout or crisis, your tools become extensions of your survival. A sharp knife, a sturdy hatchet, or a reliable pot can make the difference between thriving and struggling. But unlike in normal times, you can't just run to Walmart or order a replacement online. So knowing how to maintain and repair your tools is critical. The basics start with cleaning and protection. Dirt, moisture, and rust are silent killers. Wiping blades dry and coating them with oil, vegetable, mineral, or even rendered fat extends their lifespan. Sharpening is another must. A whetstone is ideal, but in a pinch, the rough bottom of a ceramic mug or even a flat rock can bring an edge back. Handles break too. An axe or shovel with a cracked handle can be replaced with a hardwood branch, carefully carved and wedged into place. Hinges, screws, or springs from broken items can be scavenged for repairs on multi-tools or fishing gear. Taking care of tools is about foresight. Regular checks prevent failures when you need them most. In survival, a well-maintained knife or pot isn't just equipment, it's peace of mind. Of course, tools won't protect you from every danger, which is why the next skill is basic self-defense. 8. Basic self-defense. When the lights go out and order begins to break down, the greatest danger may not be nature, it may be other people. Desperation drives crime, and being able to protect yourself and your loved ones becomes as important as food or water. Basic self-defense isn't about being a martial arts master. It's about awareness, deterrence, and having simple, effective responses. Awareness is your first shield. Pay attention to your surroundings, trust your instincts, and avoid situations that feel unsafe. Distance and avoidance prevent most confrontations before they begin. If someone approaches aggressively, firm body language and confidence can deter them from seeing you as an easy target. When avoidance fails, a few quick actions matter. Strikes to the eyes, throat, or groin can create enough space to escape. Everyday items, a flashlight, a pen, or even a rock, can serve as improvised weapons. And don't forget home defense, securing doors, setting noise alerts, and keeping deterrents like pepper spray ready if legal in your area. The goal isn't to fight, it's to survive. Knowing you can defend yourself provides security, keeping fear at bay in uncertain times. Still, defense alone won't fill your stomach. So the next survival skill is securing food through hunting or foraging. 9. Securing food through hunting or foraging. In a prolonged blackout, grocery shelves empty fast. When your pantry runs low, knowing how to secure food from the land can keep hunger from breaking you. Hunting and foraging aren't glamorous, but they're skills that have sustained humanity for thousands of years. For protein, small game is more realistic than big prey. Rabbits, squirrels, and birds can be trapped with simple snares made from wire, shoelaces, or paracord. Fishing is another high-return option. Just a hook, line, and patience can put calories on the table. Foraging demands knowledge. Edible plants like dandelions, cattails, wild berries, and acorns can be lifesavers, but caution is critical. Many plants have toxic lookalikes, so never eat unless you're certain. Mushrooms, especially, are risky without expertise. Even insects like crickets and grasshoppers, when cooked, can be safe, protein-rich options. Preservation is just as vital as finding food. Smoking, salting, or drying meat helps stretch supplies and prevents waste. In survival mode, every calorie counts. Hunting and foraging aren't just about eating, they're about independence from fragile supply chains. But survival also means staying connected. So the next skill is learning how to communicate effectively without technology. 10. Effective communication without technology. When cell towers fail and the internet vanishes, communication reverts to its oldest forms. In a blackout, being able to send or receive messages without electronics can mean the difference between isolation and survival. Visual signals are a starting point. 3 puffs of smoke by day or 3 bright flashes of light at night are universal distress calls. Bright tarps, clothing, or ground markers can also catch attention from the air. Audible signals are equally powerful. Whistles carry farther than the human voice, and 3 sharp blasts are recognized worldwide as a cry for help. For local coordination, simple markings work. Chalk, charcoal, or carved arrows on trees can guide group members silently. Prearranged signs, like an X for danger or arrows for direction, can prevent confusion in tense moments. In longer crises, relays or runners can carry messages like ancient couriers, and even basic hand signals or knots on ropes can serve as coded systems. Effective communication is about clarity and speed, not convenience. When tech dies, your ability to send a message could bring rescue or keep your group united. Yet, even communication means little if you haven't prepared ahead, which is why the next skill is pre-planning and risk assessment. 11. Pre-planning and risk assessment. Survival isn't luck, it's foresight. When disaster hits, the people who come out on top aren't necessarily the strongest. They're the ones who already ran the scenarios in their heads. Pre-planning and risk assessment turn chaos into a series of prepared responses. Start by asking, What could realistically go wrong in your area? Hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, or extended blackouts each carry different threats. Then imagine how those events would affect your daily life. Would your road home be cut off by a flooded bridge? Would your backup generator fail without stored fuel? Identifying these weak points ahead of time means you can fix them while there's still breathing room. Good planning also includes options. Always have more than one route, one supply source, and one strategy. That way, if Plan A fails, Plan B is already in motion. A written checklist and a mental map save precious minutes when panic makes others freeze. Risk assessment isn't about living in fear. All of these fire partner. It's about being ready. The more you think ahead, the calmer you'll be when the unexpected arrives. And just as preparation matters for the body, the mind also needs resilience. So the next skill is psychological strength and morale boosting. 12. Psychological resilience and morale boosting. In a prolonged crisis, survival isn't only about food, water, or shelter, it's about mindset. Fear and hopelessness can break people faster than hunger ever will. That's why building psychological resilience and keeping morale high is just as critical as any physical skill. Resilience starts with perspective. Instead of dwelling on what's lost, focus on what you can control, your routines, your safety, your next meal. Simple rituals like cooking a shared meal, maintaining hygiene, or even setting small goals each day help restore a sense of normalcy. Morale boosting isn't only personal, it's communal. Sharing responsibilities among family members, telling stories by firelight, or celebrating small victories can transform despair into determination. Humor, music, or even a deck of cards can lift spirits in the darkest times. The truth is, a calm and motivated group survives longer than a panicked one. Strong mental health keeps you thinking clearly, making better decisions under pressure, and giving others the strength to carry on. But survival isn't only internal. Sometimes it's about working with others. That's why the next skill is learning to barter and trade wisely. 13. Resource bartering and trade skills. When money loses its value and stores are empty, trade becomes the backbone of survival. Bartering isn't just swapping goods. It's knowing what people need most and having something useful to offer. In a blackout, everyday items suddenly become more valuable than cash. Think small but essential. Matches, batteries, soap, salt, painkillers, and even toilet paper can all become powerful bargaining chips. The key is storing extras of items that are cheap now but priceless later. Knowledge itself can also be traded. If you know how to fix tools, purify water, or build a fire, those skills can be worth as much as supplies. Bartering requires awareness and caution. Trade in safe, neutral places and avoid giving away all of your reserves at once. Learn to negotiate. Sometimes splitting supplies or combining goods makes both sides feel like they won. Trust builds trade networks. But discretion keeps you safe. Done wisely, bartering transforms scarcity into opportunity. It turns what you have into what you need, keeping survival sustainable. But with goods and people moving around, another danger rises: waste and disease. That's where sanitation becomes the next critical skill. 4. Waste management and sanitation. In the middle of a blackout, garbage pickup stops, toilets back up, and disease spreads faster than food supplies. Poor sanitation has ended more armies and communities in history than battles ever did. That's why managing waste and keeping clean is a survival skill many overlook until it's too late. Start with human waste. If toilets no longer flush, line the bowl with heavy-duty trash bags, use cat litter or sawdust to cover waste, and tie bags securely before disposal. For longer outages, a simple bucket with a lid can serve as an emergency toilet. Always keep waste far from living areas and water sources to avoid contamination. Trash management is just as important. Burn what you safely can, bury biodegradable items, and seal off anything that could attract pests. Hand hygiene is your frontline defense against illness. Soap, hand sanitizer, or even ash in a pinch can reduce germs. Cleanliness isn't luxury, it's survival. Preventing infection and disease means your body stays strong enough to handle bigger challenges like food, water, and defense. And once health is secured, the final survival edge comes from creativity. Finding energy and light when darkness never seems to end. 15. Energy hacks in DIY lighting. When the blackout drags on, darkness becomes both a physical and psychological enemy. Having reliable light and a little energy can transform fear into focus. That's why learning a few simple hacks for lighting and power is one of the smartest survival skills you can practice today. Start with the basics: candles, oil lamps, and lanterns. You can make your own lamp using a glass jar, cooking oil, and a strip of cotton as a wick. Crayons, surprisingly, can burn for about 30 minutes each. For brighter solutions, small solar chargers and rechargeable batteries are lifesavers. Many are inexpensive now, but priceless during an outage. Don't overlook DIY options. A flashlight powered by hand crank or a mini solar panel from a garden light can provide hours of illumination. Reflectors, like aluminum foil behind a candle, magnify brightness, stretching limited resources further. Light isn't just about visibility, it's about safety and morale. A single steady flame can calm nerves, allow you to cook, and keep you moving forward when the rest of the neighborhood is swallowed in pitch black. With all 15 skills combined, you're no longer just waiting out the crisis, you're equipped to survive it. Blackouts, supply chain breakdowns, and rising costs may feel like distant threats until they're not. The truth is, survival in those moments doesn't come down to luck or luxury gear. It comes down to simple, timeless skills that keep you alive when systems fail. From purifying water and treating wounds to building shelter, trading resources, and creating light, these 15 survival skills are your true safety net. You don't need to master them all overnight, but every step you take now makes you stronger, calmer, and more prepared than the majority of people around you. The choice is clear. Wait for disaster to teach you or prepare before it hits. So let me ask you, of the 15 skills we covered, which one do you believe would save the most lives if the lights went out tomorrow? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone you care about. Preparation isn't paranoia, it's protection.